As many of you will know, I've been shooting with the Sony cameras for about 4 years now. Firstly with the Sony A7 II and then the A7R III when it was released in October 2017. I remember feeling quite guilt-ridden when buying the R3 and thinking I'd just wasted £3,200. But I soon started to realise that it was a worthwhile upgrade with some improvements in image detail, dynamic range, battery life, dual SD slots and things like that. I genuinely love using the Sony A7R III, so when the R4 was announced and blew us away with its glittering spec and dazzling numbers, I was sucked in. So with a quick financial calculation and my mouse finger poised, I decided to satisfy my gear lust and I placed a pre-order within minutes of it being announced. But I think buying a new camera is probably a bit like taking a photograph of an amazing moment in nature. If we get swept away and flap around without taking a moment for clarity, then the chances are it's probably going to lead to disappointment. I was laid in my back garden during the record-breaking hot weather that we've had recently, and I just started to make a list of all the potential personal and commercial benefits of upgrading to this new camera, and then I did the same for potentially investing that same amount of money into a different area of my photography. And this is what I came up with. So firstly, the personal benefits of upgrading, i.e. what am I likely to gain from a standpoint of creativity, improvement and enjoyment? I'll warn you that these are pretty weak. So firstly, feel-good factor maybe. We all enjoy a new toy every now and then, and the excitement of a new camera can feel like a personal reward. And obviously it's important that we feel good about the tools that we use. Confidence also, sometimes the latest and greatest can instill some confidence, and I personally find it's important not to have weak links in my kit where possible. I want all the pressure to be on me to create a good image so that I'm not tempted to even try and blame any shortcomings of the tools I use. And then perhaps also motivation. The excitement and anticipation of new gear might encourage me to go out and shoot more and potentially capture some images I may otherwise have missed. So yeah, that's about the best I could come up with, to be honest, and they're all legitimate positive reasons, but they're very much in the short term as the buzz and excitement of new gear soon starts to dissipate. So what the commercial benefits of upgrading from A7R III to an R4, how can they benefit me as someone who's a full-time professional that needs to earn money from photography? Commercial benefits of upgrading. Any ideas, Meg? No? Think. Sorry, but I've got absolutely nothing that will genuinely have a commercial impact as someone who always focuses manually. I've not had any problems with weather sealing, no other significant issues with the A7R III to speak of. Yes, the R4 has some very appealing features, but they're generally just nice to haves. And the issue with nice to haves is that they're not going to make me take better photographs, they're not going to improve the experience or help me have a better connection with nature, they're not going to sell more prints or sell more workshops or help you to enjoy the videos more. Will the prints be better from the R4? Well, I don't really print larger than A1, so I don't think I'm going to see any real benefit whatsoever. Yes, I do prefer the prints from the R3 compared to the A7 II, but that was a much more significant upgrade. Don't get me wrong, I think the A7R IV will be a fabulous camera, and maybe one day I'll end up with one. But there are just far too many compelling reasons not to upgrade and invest that money elsewhere. £3,500. £3,500. What could I do with that much money if I decided to invest it into photography in other ways? Well, I could spend several weeks travelling around Scotland, perhaps 2 or 3 trips overseas, a holiday of a lifetime with Adele, or I could simply stay at home, fully absorb myself in my local projects and invest more in printing. The latest full-frame camera isn't going to magically make me a better or more productive photographer. I'm not going to suddenly become prolific at creating portfolio-grade images, but for argument's sake, just imagine what could be achieved with the equivalent of, let's say, 7 weeks of exploring new locations in Scotland and Wales. The sheer act of being out in the field day after day will allow me to hone skills, read light, practice composition, try new ideas, develop a knowledge of a new location, or perhaps refine my work in an existing location. The byproduct of investing money in using gear rather than buying gear is that it may result in experiences and images that I may cherish for many years to come. For example, when I spent my second week in Torridon, I was excited to be in a self-discovered pine forest shooting in glorious snow. Not for one single moment did I think, do you know what? This experience would be so much better if I had another 19 megapixels. Okay, granted I already use 42 megapixels in an A7R III, but if I was to upgrade now, then I may well miss out on more moments just like this, moments that I look back on with great fondness, and in this case, a moment that resulted in an image which was featured in Outdoor Photography of the Year 2018. However, I'm not naive enough to say that gear doesn't matter, because it does, depending upon its intended use. You know, I love my A7R III, but I'm pleased I upgraded from my A7 II. But there becomes a point of diminishing returns when the cost doesn't really justify what might just be incremental benefits. I should also consider that a lot of my more successful and recognisable images were all taken on my A7 II. For example, Guardians of the Forest, Afraid of Time, Valley Stories 3, The Dysfunctional Family, Frosted Rowan, and Passing Through. All taken with an excellent 24 megapixel full frame camera which you can now buy for around £700. Ultimately, is upgrading going to improve my work? Am I going to feel more fulfilled in the long term? Will it give me any commercial benefit? Of course not. I have a fantastic camera. A camera that is getting cheaper and was launched less than 2 years ago. Instead, it makes much more sense to invest in myself and in my creative goals by putting myself in places where I can experience nature, create, learn from those experiences, and document stories that I can share with you and be personally proud of. I was faced with a decision, a new camera or fun trips to explore new locations. I can't have the best of both worlds, and I've no desire to always own the latest and greatest gear. So if you're faced with the same decision, then please think long and hard about what's best for you, your lifestyle, and your fulfillment as a photographer, because I really don't think you're going to get to your final years, sit down, think back and say to yourself, my life was so much better for changing my camera every 2 years. But you may remember the very best sunset that you ever experienced. When you saw the mountains of Scotland for the very first time. When you laughed at falling over but you got the photo. When you questioned your sanity for standing in a blizzard but you got the photo. When you walked through woodland and came face to face with a deer and you didn't get the photo but you loved it anyway. Being there, experiences, the way they shape us and how we see the world is what makes great photographs, not 61 megapixels. But you tell me, what do you want to see? Do you want to see images from a 61 megapixel sensor? Or do you want to see someone share a creative process in new and familiar locations? Or share moments which might put pictures and memories on the wall rather than another camera on the shelf and a box in the cupboard? Please stay tuned to see a small number of photographs which I captured last weekend. And also a quick note about my Scotland workshops. I've got dates for February and October next year. We'll be photographing the fantastic mountains, lochs and Caledonian pine forests of the Torridon area. So yeah, please check out my website for details on that. I'll put a link in the description below. But thank you very much for watching this episode from this fabulous summer woodland here in North Yorkshire. I hope you've enjoyed it, and as always, I hope to see you for the next one.